Hey everyone! Hello there, it's Gina Schreck, and we are talking about narrowing our focus for our marketing audience. Now, we all know we're told really narrow your focus, pick a niche instead of making generic content. But I want to challenge you to go even narrower. Now, there is a great story it's out there. I've read it several times about Warren Buffett when he writes his annual letter, his financial letter that goes out to all the investors. And he writes it to his two sisters, Doris and I think it's Bertie, Doris and Bertie. He writes the letter to them as he's putting down all this financial information in this letter. And the reason he picks his sisters to write to is he wants to make sure that he's not using jargon. He has them in mind very specifically. This letter is going out to thousands of people, but he is writing it to Doris and Bertie. And I love this story so much because when we write to a specific person, or in this case, he's writing to two people, it reminds me of the days of having pen pals. If you're really young, you probably have no concept of what a pen pal is, but it's when we still had to write in cursive in school. But when you have a pen pal, you were writing things that you wanted to let this person in on, whether it was secrets or whether it was what was going on in your life personally, but you have a specific person in mind. And when Warren Buffett is writing a letter to Doris and Bertie, I guarantee he's not using generic language and he's not using any technical jargon whatsoever, but he's also writing in such a way that it's very intimate and he knows the language to use. And I use this technique when I'm writing blog posts a lot. It's easy for me to think of a question that I've been recently asked by a very specific person. So let's say that someone, Karen, oh, isn't that terrible? If your name is Karen, I'm sorry right now. Seems like every time I say the word Karen, a negative thing comes up now with everybody using that term to be like a cranky housewife. But I'm going to give you some love, Karens, because if your name is Karen and you ask me a question and you want to know, I don't know, it's how to write more conversational in your blogs. When I sit down to write this blog post, I'm not going to write to all marketers between the age of 25 and 50 who live in the Western Hemisphere. And I mean, that's a lot of times how people are selecting the audience that they write content for. They're thinking of a generic demographic instead of a specific person. I want to write, Dear Karen, like this is a love letter. Dear Karen, I know right now you're trying to reach your audience and, you know, I'm going to speak as if she has given me a very specific question. And I want you to know, Karen, that when you're writing, don't use words like cannot. Be casual and say can't, because now you're blogging in a way that's a little more intimate. I would write to Karen and I would give her very specific information, but in a way that was as if I was writing a letter just to her. Now, just like Warren Buffett, at the end, you take off, Dear Karen, and he would take off, Dear Doris and Bertie. So you want to write your content. What I have seen in the last week, this is why this topic was so top of mind for me, is I hear people saying they're targeting their audience, their content for a specific industry. Now it's a very specific industry. So let's say that it's car dealers and they're luxury car dealers. That's still so broad. If I'm writing content to car dealers, it's as if I'm writing to an inanimate object. It's an audience that I can't see the face of. But if I'm writing this to Catherine, who works as a salesperson at a car dealer that's a luxury car dealer, now when I'm writing to Catherine and answering Catherine's questions, I'm speaking differently to Catherine than I am to a car dealer. So be careful in your content writing that you're not being so specific that, or not so specific, that you're not being so general when you think of the person you're writing to, when you're creating content. Be more specific and really get intimate with your audiences and use Warren Buffett's method. And who knows, maybe you'll end up as rich as Warren Buffett when you do this. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Let me know how you write to your ideal audience. Do you have a hard time getting more specific? I want to know. So let's chit chat and let's talk to each other one-on-one.